get into some mess of the mess, baby. And we got a busy schedule today. But first of all, like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. But let's get down to it. And first up, oh baby, let's get into it. So we got Mr. David. So Mr. David and his manager, baby, did actually broke the lease. So we know the situation that's going on with him and the girl that was found in the trunk of his Tesla, dismembered. Yeah, she was a teenager about age 15. Yeah. So him and his manager has already broke the lease. There was a 20K lease. So they ended the news reporters then actually talked to the owner of the house, and the owner of the house is very distraught because they said this came out of nowhere. And apparently they'll be moved out by the middle of this week. By the end of the shoot, they should be moved out by the end of this week, actually. Yes, he just signed the lease. What, last year? Yeah. So now, because he can't deal with all, LAPD investigating and everything. And on top of that, let's get into a little something. Something. The LAPD believes that they believe that she was her life was taken in the house. So it makes a lot of sense that he's just up and moving and getting up out of there quickly. So we'll find out what's going on sooner or later. But they keep it a little hush hush because it's been a little hush hush for a minute. But let me know how y'all feel about it. But let's move on to the next. Let's get into, oh man. So this is Mr. Tommy Norman. This man right here, he had just got arrested for DV, with his wife. And apparently he comes out to let us know that he's retiring from the force. Right after he just got released on bail. I said, oh baby, what's going on? I said, oh, oh. So they came in and let y'all know that this is what it is. You had to be it seemed like forced to retire. And it's crazy. But I said, you got arrested. And it looked bad. But let me know how y'all feel about it. But let's move on to the next. Let's get into the mess. So, he always in my timeline. It is Donald Trump himself. So apparently he gave a statement on Tylenol for women who are pregnant. Apparently they said women shouldn't use Tylenol because it leads to autism. I said, huh? How? So Tylenol that came out and they all said that ain't true. Tylenol, what you talking about? That ain't true. That ain't. It's like, oh, okay, but that's not true or anything. But that's what's going on. I said Donald Trump had a problem pronouncing the word that I don't even know what the word is, and I know I ain't about to pronounce it. But he had a problem pronouncing it anyway. But he loved to be the center of attention. He loved to be the center of attention. He loves to make it all about him. But if you're gonna be the center of attention and you can't pronounce the word, there's a problem. And you call yourself the president. But yeah, I don't see how Tylenol leads to autism. So they said for women that are pregnant and they taking Tylenol. I said, so what about the people that take Tylenol for pain, back pain or whatever, headaches, all that good stuff? They make Tylenol for everything. So can you end up with since they saying it causes autism, can you end up with autism later on in life? I'm just thinking about it. But let me know how y'all feel. But let's move on to the next. Let's get into Jason. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Derulo. I hope I pronounced it right. So apparently, this case against him was dismissed. The accuser who accused him of, assault, so she refiled and she going back in for another round. And yes, I said, "Ooh, baby." I said, "Since it was dismissed," I said, Why?" I don't know, cause it was dismissed, but it didn't have that one, I forget what it's called, where you can't file again. In this case, she didn't have to do that, but now she can refile, and you gotta go through this process all over again. I don't know. I understand if you're innocent, you haven't done that, but if you can pay them off and get them out the way, I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a 50-50 type of thing, because you know you didn't do it, but it got dismissed because there wasn't enough evidence, and stuff. And now this is what's going on. I said, good luck to you, sir. I hope you got you a good lawyer to figure this out. But let's move on to the next. Okay, let's get into the big story that I got. The last thing is up here, and this is for a mother who ended up losing her life. She was a 34-year-old mother, lost her life by the hands of her teenage daughter. So apparently, her teenage daughter and her got into an argument, a big argument, because they talked to the neighbors in the neighborhood. And they said, one of the neighbors said they heard yelling. They heard yelling, and then they heard five pow pows after that. So the daughter ended up taking her mother's life. We don't know why she did it. She ended up running away from the scene, and then she ended up coming back. Her family has spoke out and said that the mom would give give the shirt off her back to anybody, and she loved being a mother, and um, she loved being a mother, and she was very hands on. But she also had she been sober from alcohol for about a year, and she had just on post on her social media that I'm been sober for about a year. So I can understand. I don't know what happened between her and the daughter that caused this, because there also a clip. They had did like a little TikTok challenge or whatever, and you can tell they was having a good time, but from that to this, it's crazy. And no knowing what their daughter dealt with the mom, being an alcoholic, and anything could trigger it. And then being a 16-year-old, them knowing thinking they know everything and stuff like that. You never know what that conversation or what that argument was about. But to take somebody's life is crazy. It's really crazy. But hopefully we find out why the daughter did what she did, or what cause led up to it. But that's all that I got for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Paul. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel, and I will get back at y'all later. Bye, y'all.